Imposter syndrome. It has become one of the hottest buzzwords over the past few years. And trust me, it is a very real and challenging phenomenon that can be downright debilitating when left unaddressed. However, as time has progressed, I couldn't help but notice something. It seems like the line between imposter syndrome and incompetence have become a little bit blurred over the years, and that can have a negative impact on not only your work, but your self-esteem as an artist. So today we'll talk about artist imposter syndrome, what it is and what it isn't, and what are the ways that we can combat it. While we chat, I will be working on this illustration for your entertainment. And if you're thinking, wow, I would love to be coloring the same thing while I watch the video, you are in luck. Check the description down below for a free coloring page download. So grab your art supplies. I will be using my iPad Pro with my Apple Pencil, and let's jump right in. So first of all, what is imposter syndrome? People who struggle with imposter syndrome believe that they are undeserving of their achievements and the high esteem in which they are in fact generally held. So let's break that down. Ideally, your competence level and your confidence level should be relatively aligned. If you ever find yourself doubting something that you've already proven to be very competent in, you're likely experiencing imposter syndrome. And if you're ever in a situation where you experience your confidence far exceeding your competence level, that is the opposite of imposter syndrome, known as the Dunning-Kruger effect. Now, just to give a little introduction to myself, my name's Andrea and I'm the artist behind Coco Michelle Illustrations. And because of the platform that I have built, I have a lot of experience talking with novice artists in the community. And one thing I've had a lot of new artists tell me is that they've had to overcome their imposter syndrome to have the confidence to post online. But I got bad news, babe. For new artists, most of the time, what you're experiencing isn't imposter syndrome, because that lack of confidence you're experiencing is directly related to your lack of competence in this area. So for example, if I've been playing the piano for a few months, I barely have the fundamentals down, and I'm presented with an opportunity to perform live, it's safe to say I would be scared as hell. But that nervousness that I'm feeling would be appropriate in that situation because I haven't built enough competence in this area to have confidence for me to be on a stage. But if I were to do that concert anyway, it wouldn't be because I overcame my imposter syndrome, it would be because I acknowledged my fear and I did it anyway, which will probably make me a better pianist down the line. You see, there's a natural learning curve that comes with doing new things. That means there's gonna be a good chunk of time when your work just isn't that good. And certainly not to the level of someone who's been doing it for a really long time. Although many of us understand this concept, we still fall into the cycle of consistently setting ourselves up for unrealistic expectations and often comparing ourselves to others in our field who have been doing this for years. This is something that I have personally dealt with off and on throughout my art journey, where I'm comparing my art to others and trying to figure out why my work doesn't look like theirs. And it will set you up to feel uninspired and unmotivated to continue creating. This journey of seeking instant gratification from our work often leads us walking in circles trying to figure out why our art isn't getting any better. So much growth comes from making ugly shit, and there really is no way around that. Through these phases allows you to understand what you like, how to self-correct, develop your style, and gain confidence in your creations. So now let's say you have been working on your craft. You have shown commitment to the advancement of your skills and have made progress in various different aspects of your artwork. People come to you for your creations. People who are aspiring to be like you often ask you for advice. You may even be getting paid to create for others or selling your own creations to customers. But whenever someone approaches you and says, hey, I heard you're an artist, that's so amazing, you want to hit them with the, me? Artist? No. I just like to draw a lot. Yeah. And I get paid to do it sometimes. And I love it. It's one of the only things I'm passionate about, and I do it, every waking second of every day. But an artist, no. Stop it. That's not modesty, my friend. That is imposter syndrome. Like I mentioned earlier, you want your confidence to match your competence level. And if you have already shown great competence in something, you should have the confidence to match. People who struggle with imposter syndrome often reduce their achievements down to external factors like luck or timing, or even worse, they don't even acknowledge them at all. Imposter syndrome can literally stop your growth in its tracks and prevent you from taking on new opportunities. And with art being roughly 100% subjective, it's the perfect breeding ground for imposter syndrome to thrive. Also, intersectionality such as one's race or one's gender identity can increase your likelihood to experience imposter syndrome by over 20%, with Black women being one of the most impacted groups. Of course. So what do we do to overcome this phenomenon and become confident in the art that we create? First, you want to set measurable art goals. Like I mentioned, art has such a subjective nature, so it's difficult for us to be able to tell what's good art. So by creating goals that are measurable or trackable, you're going to be able to, without a doubt, identify your progress. For me, I like to set goals like how much time I want to dedicate to doing studies each week, challenging myself to incorporate colors and textures that I usually stay away from, or even trying to reduce the amount of time I spend getting my initial concept sketch down on the canvas. These all allow me to identify what progress and growth looks like for me, and because I can track and measure it, I can celebrate each win and start to feel more confident in the creations that I make. Second thing is to redraw old artwork. This has been a regular practice for me. It really is a great visual representation for how much growth has happened over a certain period of time. So take an old piece, preferably one that you loved when you made it, because we are also trying to shift our mindset. So we want this to be a positive experience and not something you struggle through. And if you take a piece that's 1 to 2 years old, you're gonna see the most drastic results. And draw it now, wherever you are in your current art journey. I recommend you draw it from scratch. Don't trace it or use any of the original framework. Draw it completely like an original piece. You're gonna notice a lot has changed. Maybe how long it took you, maybe the color choices and techniques you use, maybe even your brush choice, but take notice of how it feels. Look at the two pieces side by side and it will have you saying, maybe I am an artist. Number 3, share your work. This one can be tough because your confidence isn't where you want it to be. But tackling your social anxiety around your work can be a great way for you to boost your confidence. I've been sharing my work online for about 4 years, and I can tell you it used to be terrifying. And my art was nowhere near as refined as it is today. The more I did it, the more I realized that A, it's not scary. The Kool-Aid man isn't gonna bust through my door and start roasting me because I drew a girl with a crooked neck and lopsided eyes. And there was a community of people that wanted to see more of my work and were actively encouraging and uplifting me, which was a huge boost for my confidence. And sharing your work online is the only way you're gonna be able to make money, and you know here at Coco's Academy, we chase the bag for life. And my 4th tip, which is gonna be my tip for every video for an artist, because this is a reoccurring theme for so many of us, is to stop comparing yourself to others. This one will get you each and every time. When you compare your journey to someone else's, you are stifling your own creativity. Everyone's path is unique to them, and we are all moving at the pace that is exactly perfect for where we are in our journey. And ultimately, we have to be kind to ourselves and let our unique voices be heard. There is space for all of us. You don't need to prove yourself or compare your work to anyone's. Period. So that's it for this video. If you've ever experienced imposter syndrome or the Dunning-Kruger effect, let me know down in the comments below. This is how the final piece came out. I would love to see yours using #drawingwithcoco. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, leave a yellow heart in the comments so I know that you're here with me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.